Okay, let's move on to our next point, and welcome to you, James. This is an important one, which maybe is a gotcha, really. So, there are rules. You can't just do what you like in the recording studio.
It's a quickie, really, and Alan's actually made several of my points already. It's all right. You always do that, sorry. But you always talk too long. But no, it's sort of good. Rules, just sort of consider the strings attached to the recordings that you get. Consider the rules wherever you go and record. Familiarize yourself with MU rules and what you're actually paying for, what the rate gets you.
Yeah.
And because Alan mentioned the combined use fee, I mean.
So what does that mean?
It's just that. Alan will probably do a much better job of explaining than I do, but it's just as a general principle. I think in the games industry there can be a culture of sort of thinking of a piece of music as just a file that you sort of trigger, and once you have it, you can do whatever you want with it. And if you apply that to the film industry, it would be the same as, say, every Star Wars sequel playing the same recording of the Star Wars theme at the beginning of every film, but of course they don't. They record it all over again every time. They have to because of that. Those are the strings attached if you record in London. So it's not just a case of it's the same theme. Let's just sort of trigger it. If you record, you just consider what you need to do with this music and how you intend to exploit it. Are you going to use? Do you want to use it in another project or a sequel? That kind of thing, and also that relates to how you record and whether, not necessarily so much with stemming music or recording music section by section, but if you intend to track, overdub, there are rules there in terms of what you can do. I mean, you can't record an orchestra on top of itself, for example, in London, but you can do that if you record in, say, Bratislava, somewhere like.
Session you can do it.
Sorry.
Not the same session.
Not the same session, right? But Alan, as he can fill in some of the blanks, he's an expert on this. We've worked together for so long, and he's got an encyclopedic knowledge of this kind of thing. But there's a project that we worked on a long time ago called Evil Genius. And is it okay if I mention this about what happened here? It was at a time when it wasn't really common to record orchestras for games. This is about 2002 when we started to think about what we were going to do, how we're going to realize the music. And we booked, it needed a sort of Bond-like brass section. And we thought, the best way to do that is to record it in London, obviously, because a lot of specialist players who maybe the only people who can do it, really, pull it off. And we booked a big band for that component, if you like, for that stem, I guess you could say. And then we had issues with the rate, and a few of the musicians were uncomfortable with the rate that we were using because it was the film rate. In fact, it was the one that's currently used, I think. But they weren't happy because, in the game, the music gets repeated over and over again, and they're saying it's not the same as a film, and we had to go elsewhere to do it. But it worked out fine. But that, I think, led to Alan actually going in a meeting with a few people at the MU and actually deciding what rate to use for games going forward. And now we, it is the combined use rate, which I don't know what's it called technically.
Scale 4 combined use.
Scale 4 combined use, which is applied to film and TV, and it still only allows you to use music in the context of one project, doesn't it? And allows for a soundtrack release as well.
It's very interesting because, from a composer's point of view, you may well be in a position, say if you're organising the recording and paying for it all, that you've actually signed a contract with the games company that says, they can use the music in other projects, right?
Yeah,
and that's quite common.
Yeah,
whether
that's why
right or wrong.
I think that's why it's good to have a clause that mentions the nature of the agreement with the musicians, with the MU.
In your
Yeah,
composer
yeah.
contract.
If you can, if obviously it's best to do that to sort of just so that everybody knows
Yeah.
what those, what you can do with the recordings. It's just,
So, yeah, so we can't take away the fine detail of this, but the point is, you don't have carte blanche. There are rules, and you need to think very carefully. If you want to do something slightly unusual,
Yeah,
weird,
and
or
there
track
are-
the orchestra, you can't just go
especially
and do that.
that,
and assume. Yeah.
but yeah,
And
there
even
are-
in Bratislava, you said if you track the orchestra, it's got to be in another
Oh, no, it's
session.
London.
In London, but you can do it, but it's got to be another session that you pay for.
yeah, because otherwise you're sort of getting the effect of having twice as many musicians.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool. Okay, I think you've made that point really well. And so we're gonna in a short while we'll take a look at some actual footage of you guys working together. But for now, let's just have one more pointer, which is from you, Alistair, and I guess I'll hand you the clicker of destiny.